are back with episode 12, Bodybuilding's Amateur Hour, and this time we got Big Morgan. What's going on, man?
Hey
There he
man, how's
is.
it going? Having me.
Oh yeah, fantastic! I'm really glad to have you back. So you're so you're part of the first original Amateur Hour way back when we were doing the Instagram Live, but now we've gotten a little bit bigger, quite a bit bigger, and now we're going through YouTube and soon to be Spotify.
Okay, excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're growing pretty fast, which is fantastic, and you are definitely a part of the journey. And the Instagram live version that we did with you on it had like the most views. We were getting into like, I don't know, we're getting close to about 800 before
Okay.
yeah, before my account got before it got canceled. And then
Yeah.
you helped me out
After,
with that one, but yeah,
yeah. A lot of people have been dealing with that.
yeah, it's been pretty crazy. So yeah, I wasn't able to retrieve it, but we tried, and thanks for your help and suggestions too. That was awesome. Cool. So we won't keep you too long because I know you're super busy and you're in prep. And
Yeah, no worries.
you could tell with your face is really coming in.
Yeah, we're getting there now, man. We hit a new low weight there yesterday. Had a high day, and my weight only came up like 2 pounds after the high day. When normally it's been coming up like 5 or 6 pounds.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm at the point where my body's just like running through the food super, super fast. So I feel like, and I feel like we're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
So I'm, right now it's just going to be kind of going back and forth between the low days and the high days, and until we get through the next couple weeks. But I'm pretty happy with the overall look right now. Like I think we're definitely on track to be as conditioned as we need to be and everything like that. I'm really happy with the size. I've been able to hold this prep, more so than any other prep I've done for sure. Um, so yeah, all in all, I think we're in a pretty good spot for 19 days out.
19 days. That's amazing. Yeah, you're looking freakish, man. It's so cool to see like you're at the part where you're like almost changing every day.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, this is when stuff gets really freaky, and that's when you're peaking. When every time you wake up, you see new lines, or you're harder or drier, or you wake up super flat, and you got to eat 1,000 grams of carbs just to like stay
Yeah.
alive. That's a good place to be, right?
100%. So, um, this podcast is called Bodybuilding's Amateur Hour. So, for the people that we're kind of geared towards, uh, amateur bodybuilders and fitness competitors coming up and trying to figure out how to get to where you are, right? So, when you're talking about waking up different every day, feeling drier and harder. What for people that don't really get it, or maybe they're going through it the first time and is like haven't gotten there yet? What does that look like, and what do you mean by drier and harder? If you're waking up and you're seeing something new, what's happening when that's going on?
Well, I guess your body is just so insulin sensitive because you've been eating in a calorie deficit for 20 weeks or however long it's been. So I guess your body just becomes so efficient at using the food, and you're in such a routine of doing fasted cardio every morning. Training hard with weights 5 days a week, and
Right.
obviously we're taking some fat burners and certain supplements that also enhance that like fat burning effect. Um, but yeah, like the leaner you get, it's like the leaner you get. Like it's what I
Right.
mean. Like things really start burning. And I mean, for me, like I'm still 200 and 78, 280 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm like 4 to 5% body fat. So the metabolic issue I have that's just burning through calories is just insane.
Just crazy. So does that make it hard to sleep at night?
I've had a couple nights, and they're usually when I hit like a low weight. So I'm obviously burning fat, and that's why it's hard to sleep. And then, but usually that next day I'll have a high day. Like that's exactly what happened yesterday. It's what's happened most of my high days where I have a terrible sleep because I'm starving all night. I wake up, hit a low weight. Because we hit that low weight, we'll do a really high carb day. And then like last night, for example, I had a great sleep because, I had 900 grams of carbs yesterday. So,
Right. Yeah.
you have some nights you got to suffer through for sure. And then you got some nights that you sleep like a baby, but this is the hardest point probably because, when you're 3 weeks out, you should be ready, but you kind of just got to sit and wait and stay
Can
ready.
right. You
Right.
kind of exactly.
Tired, like being, and when, when you're this low body fat, you just feel kind of, it doesn't feel very nice.
It doesn't feel great. No. Um,
Yeah.
I want to. So something that maybe some people might experience going into a prep, like maybe 2 weeks out, even a week out. And I've had it happen myself where you wake up during the night and it's almost like, have you ever had this happen where you wake up and you're almost like in a panic where your body is just telling you to eat and you're like, you really got
Yeah.
to kind of fight that or do you kind of listen to it a little bit and have something where
No,
it's like,
no.
yep,
I just can't really do that because I'm all about following the plan. And I'm like, you know, maybe I should eat something because I'm that hungry, but what's another, 5 or 6 hours before I update my coach?
right.
Like, I'll just suffer through. And then, you know what? Maybe I'll drop 2 extra pounds. And because of that, I got leaner. And now I get to do a big high day and fill up. And it was worth suffering through that. Right.
Uh,
Um, so, yeah, but I mean, and it depends where you're at too. Also, if you're peeled, like,
yeah, right.
and that happens, maybe it's not a big deal if you have a protein shake at 2 a.m. or something like that, just so you can
If
get back to sleep. I think you kind of got to be the judge of that. Like, but if you're 3 or 4 weeks out and you got fat to lose, well, you should probably just
not,
suck it up.
yeah, not so much. Right on. For people that don't really know you yet, or that know you but don't know really what's going on, you're going for, is this your first pro show? And
Yeah, this Toronto Pro is going to be my first pro show, so pretty exciting. It's the only pro show I've ever watched. I've been there. I think I've been to the Toronto Pro twice to watch it. I've competed on the same stage because it's the same venue that
cool.
they use for nationals and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why I picked it to make my pro debut, just because it's a hotel and venue that I'm very familiar with. I'm familiar with some of the judges that are going to be judging. They've
Oh,
judged me
good.
before. And just the whole environment and it's easy for the first one, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So like everything's a little bit more comfortable. You don't, the stress level isn't up there. You, like, you know
Yeah,
the area a little bit and
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been there. I mean, how many times? Like, like I can't even count. Um, it's that, and it's just from here to Toronto is like a 3 hour flight. Don't got to worry about going through customs. It's easy to travel with food and everything
right.
like that. So, just for my first year, I just wanted to knock out the Canadian shows. Just to keep my life easy. So I'll do Toronto, and then 6 weeks later I'll do Vancouver. And a big reason for that is that's where my coach Ron lives.
Yep.
So I want to go out there, go out to West Coast Iron, check out his gym, and spend a little bit of time out there and do the show and stuff like that. So that's the plan. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Ron's a great guy, great coach. I uh, I had him coaching me for a little while, and then COVID happened and all that crap. So I had to
Yeah.
back off a little bit. But yeah, yeah, I like Ron's training style. Super simple, and
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we keep it super simple. I mean, it's definitely, I would say like my coaching relationship with Ron is unlike what most people's relationships are like with their coach. Like we're really like, we're at the point where it's like I don't even get like updated meal plans and stuff. Like we kind of just
yeah,
have like a high day and a low day, and like we've just been doing that for like 10 weeks. Like it's just like
yeah,
it's so like simple and chill like that, and it works. And
that's awesome.
and he also doesn't mind. Like he knows I know my shit. He knows I know my body. So
Hmm.
if I wake up one morning and I'm down 3 pounds and I got to give myself a high day before he can get back to me because there's a big time difference in between us. Um, like he'll trust me with that. Like he
Right,
knows I'm not going to give myself a high day because I feel bad for myself. He's going to
right.
know I'm gonna do one because I need it because I'm afraid I'm going to lose muscle or I flatten out too much. Like he understands I can make educated decisions about my body, right? and then it's always something we can talk about after. So I just like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's good to have a coach like that.
Yeah, 100%. You guys are both on the same page, but he respects your knowledge, right? And he expects your decisions.
Yeah,
Because
like I don't really need a coach to necessarily tell me the X's and O's. Like I know what I need to do to get in shape. Like,
right,
but what I do need is the accountability, and I need like reassurance that we're on the right track, right? Like
100%.
I could
That
pretty much coach
was
myself for an entire prep as long as I got someone to send pictures to be like, you're good. Like, you know
right.
what I mean?
I think we all need that, no matter like, if you're top tier Olympia to like the pros to like the amateur level. We all need someone to be reliable
I
with
think it helps
usually.
majorly, and just from a stress standpoint, right? Because I mean, if you're constantly worrying about should I do this, should I do that, and you're not getting that reassurance from somebody that what you're doing is what you should be doing, stress is cortisol, man, and that has an impact, especially as
Yeah.
you get into the later stages and prep. Like, you know, I've pretty much told everyone around me, my family, my friends, that this next 3 weeks, I am being like as selfish as possible. Like, only because every minute of my day needs to be allocated to rest, recovery, training, eating right now. Because
100%.
I'm still very busy with work, my online
Yeah.
clients, so that's the only stress that I want outside of my prep, right?
Yeah. Actually, and that's a good segue into one of our Instagram questions is how do you deal with how do you deal with coaching and prep at the same time and dealing with your client's stress while you're trying not to be stressed? Like, I
Well,
think that would be
I used to be like
bonkers.
very, until like the last year, honestly, I've dealt with a lot of anxiety and stress. Just something that I more so just like kind of like brought on myself. But I figured out a lot of ways to cope with it. I also realized some hormonal balances I had that were causing it, that I
Oh,
addressed.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like estrogen type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy
Was
complicated.
that
But
was that all through blood work?
no, it was just through side effects of high estrogen, and then when I started
Okay.
implementing AIs, those side effects went away, and so did my anxiety and my ability to deal with
Makes
stress
sense.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was honestly one of the most beneficial things that I figured out this year about my body, because I was basically, you know, doing cycles, running high testosterone doses, and I would never take any AIs because I didn't really get any like gyno, masty, or anything like
You
that.
felt like, yeah, you felt like physically you didn't need it. You didn't see anything.
Yeah, but there was other stuff going on. So, anyways, yeah. So back to the question. So and coaching to me, I enjoy it, and honestly, like it's kind of been a savior in prep because I work from home,
Yeah.
and in between my meals and stuff, it keeps me really busy. Like I'm always setting clients up, doing updates, talking to them, and of course, I have my moments where I'm tired, and you know maybe a client texts me at 5 p.m. and it's not something I really want to deal with. But I do because that's my job, and I built my reputation on making myself available to my clients like almost 24/7. Um,
Wow.
and I
Lucky
always,
clients.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But I also remember to have a lot of gratitude for my job, and that I'm fortunate to, you know, be doing good financially, doing what I'm doing because it works so well with bodybuilding, which is my passion. So
Yeah.
you're not going to catch me slacking because I know that I could lose this, and then if I have to go get a regular job and be a bodybuilder, life's going to be a lot harder.
Oh, it
Like,
sucks. See that, and that's again kind of geared towards this podcast. Is we most of us are regular working people trying to get to where you are, and like it's
yeah, it's a
so
lot of
yeah.
work. A lot of work. It's a lot of work to get to where I am. This was my goal since I started bodybuilding, was to get myself in this situation of being an online coach because I knew it was the best environment for bodybuilding, right? So
Oh, most definitely.
yeah. But I mean, you know, I love my clients, man, and honestly, online coaching it really shouldn't be that stressful. I mean, of course, it
Yeah.
depends on the client to a certain degree, but you know, if you have mostly like good clients that are just going to do what you say and trust you, it should really only take 5 or 10 minutes
Right.
a day to
Oh,
update
for
those
sure.
people, make sure they're good for the week, that kind of thing. So.
So do you deal mostly with like health and wellness, or do you have a lot of a mixture of competitors and
It's definitely a good mix. I find, I guess more recently, I'm getting a lot more like competitors and people that are serious because I've been able to produce some pretty good results with some competitors now, just through my own experiences. And I guess as I'm getting more advanced as a competitor, people are kind of trusting my knowledge a little bit more to help them with
Yeah.
shows and stuff like that, which is good. But I would still say majority of my clients are still just like lifestyle clients or just guys that are like looking to get jacked and like know how to do things right, not
Yeah.
necessarily compete. And
For
those are
sure.
probably my favorite clients because they're people that are just enjoying the process and just learning and having fun with it. I enjoy coaching everybody. I mean, I love helping anyone towards their goal, of course, right? But
Right.
there's just a little bit more pressure that comes with competitors because I think for me
Yeah.
myself, it's because I know because I'm a competitor, obviously, and I know how much it means to me when I compete and how much pressure I put on myself and there's just so much that goes into it, and you just hate to do your best with a client and for them not to get the result they want.
Right. And to really like, I totally get
you-
it.
yeah, like
It's like
I'm far more nervous for my like if I have someone competing in a show, I'm way more nervous for them than I would ever be for myself.
I was just gonna ask that. Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
like, it's that's come up before where my coach and I've seen other coaches are like stressed out, and then I'm like, I'm fine. Why are you stressed? But it's just kind of like you just want the best for the clients, the best for everyone, and
exactly. Yeah.
it's um, along that lines. Got a question about that. What was it like handing down the gladiator shield to a former opponent turned client friend?
Oh man, that was the coolest thing ever. Was doing that with Chris. I mean,
So
that talked about for
yeah,
weeks and weeks going into it, and I'm so happy that came to fruition because we knew it was such a cool opportunity. Where I had won the gladiator, the couple years before.
right.
Uh, he competed against me. Me and him had a particular conversation after that show where I told him that he should be the next guy to win it if he keeps improving, right? So then just to have an opportunity to help someone at Chris's level and then for us to nail it like we did and win that pretty handedly, I was really,
Yeah,
really happy.
that was for
Yeah, that was a good
sure.
moment. That was a cool moment as a coach. I don't think many coaches would get to experience that. Like, hand him off the trophy and then get to pose on stage with him
That was
afterwards.
so cool. Yeah,
That's something I'll never forget, man.
right.
I still go back and look at pictures from that weekend. And
I know. Yeah.
it's an old,
Chris sends me them every now and then. He's like, "Oh, check this one out." I was like, "Oh,
yeah, that
this,
guy's still soaking it up as he should, as he should.
oh, for sure, for the yeah." Just don't let that one go. Because yeah, he brought it for sure.
Yeah, he
And
nailed it. Suffered for
so,
it.
did you help Chris throughout his off season? Or
Yeah, he came to me early, and we did a full off season phase, and then we did a full prep phase. And I think that's the key. Like, I get a lot of people that come to me for prep, and as long as we're like 20, 25 weeks out, I'll take them. But generally, I like, or if I know it's someone who's done like a really good off season themselves,
Mhm.
put in the work. Like, of course, all those things are circumstantial, but I definitely get the best results when I get to have an off season with someone, learn their body, learn what foods work for them, learn how they respond to training, and then get into the prep. Make sure their food intake's nice and high, cardio is nice and low before we start prep, all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, totally makes sense. You get to like just feel it out, and it's just a nice, safe way to play it. Definitely. Um, Someone else here asked, "How long was your longest off season, and why?"
Well, it would have been, throughout the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
I competed in 2018, and then I can plan on doing the Toronto Pro in 2019, and that got canceled. And then he was going to try again in 2020. I kept like prepping for these shows that got canceled.
Yeah.
So then eventually, things started to relax in 2021, and then that's when I did the Gladiator and then the Canadian Nationals after. So, but even my last off season, like I turned pro in 2021, and then I took a year and a half off before I started prep for this. Right, I think I've just had my best experience doing that. Like anytime I've taken over a full calendar year off the stage, it's when I make the most improvements because I'm a firm believer that it's one thing to gain size, but in order to keep it, you got to hold it for a while. Like there's no good.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys will, they'll do a show, they'll have that health phase. Then they'll do one off season phase where they might put on 10 or 15 pounds of muscle, but then they're right back into prep.
Yep.
So it's
That's
in like
kind of sounds like me. That's kind of what
yeah,
I normally do, to be
yeah.
honest.
So
But
I think you make minimal I did that for my first 6-7 years of bodybuilding, right? I was competing all the time, and making marginal progress because of that. But I think when if you need to put on a good 10, 15 pounds of muscle, you're going to need to take 18 months to do it, right? You got to get big, you got to stay big, you got
right.
to do a health phase, keep all that size, you got to do another off season phase, keep all that size again, and then you can prep, right? That's what I believe works the best.
Bodybuilders Amateur Hour is not brought to you by Mutant, it's brought to you by me. So head over to iammutant.ca and use code JoshuaT20 for 20% off all of your supplements and apparel.
And when you say your off season, how big do you think is like a healthy big? A lot of people, tend to get pretty heavy in the off season. Do you feel that you need to get fat to get big, or do
No,
you stay pretty
I
lean?
think 330, 325, 330, and you can still see my abs and you can still see lines in my quads. So I think you need to, no, you can't get fat because once you get fat, once you see excess body fat coming on,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not getting stronger in the gym anymore, and your appetite's starting to go down. Well, now you're becoming insulin resistant. So now your body's not even using the food that you're eating to grow; it's using it to just get fatter. So
Okay. Yeah.
I think a lot of guys have ambitious appetites, and I think they want to think that they need a certain amount of calories to grow, when in reality they don't. I think a lot of these guys could be growing on way less food and just better quality food. I think that's the other reason too is that in my off season I'm just pounding all the same food that I'm eating right now in prep, just more
Hundred
of it.
percent. Yeah. 100%. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
and that's the key, man. Like a calorie is not a fucking calorie. It's not. I don't care
You're
what you
not
say.
you're not hitting legs and going smashing like McDonald's afterwards.
And see, because this is the rhythm that these people get into. I've seen it all the time. I've seen it in some of my friends too, right? So these guys, they'll convince themselves first of all that they're a hard gainer. That's mistake number one, right? So then they go and start, they'll try the meal plan thing, but it's hard to eat a lot of clean food consistently. So
So
what
yeah.
happens then is they start to miss meals, and then they're like, "I'm a hard gainer, so I miss my chicken and rice and my beef and rice. So after I train, I'm just gonna go get 2 burgers from Five Guys and a pizza
Yeah,
and
that
make
makes
up
up
all
for
those
it.
calories." And then they wake up the next morning, their digestion is completely fucked, and then they can't eat their food again. So now they're in this habit of trying to eat all their calories from protein shakes and pizza, and you're not going to grow off
And
of
then
that, man. It takes good quality food to grow good quality muscle. Like you need good quality proteins, you need good quality carbs that digest at a slow rate to keep your blood sugar level stable, so that you stay insulin sensitive. Like all these things are intricate, small things that are very, very important over the long term that people disregard,
right.
and that's why there's levels to bodybuilding.
Yes, 100%. Like that. Yeah. So yeah, good quality food, good quality muscle. Makes sense, and it tends to
Yeah,
be
but
ignored
people,
a lot of
people don't want
times.
to believe it. People don't
Right.
want to believe it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Because it's
massive
hard.
amount of us. Exactly. And that's what it comes down to. People will look at guys like me or you, and they want to blame our success or our results or how much muscle we have on something other than hard work.
Right.
It's always a
Oh,
drug, right? And it's genetics and whatever. But they
yeah. The
don't
amount of
they
times
don't
I've
want
heard. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
they just don't want to realize that it's just been a hard work over time that they can't do.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not going to get to where they want to be. So they just want to put your hard work. They want to make excuses for your hard work, right?
Right. As I say, the amount of times I've heard in the locker room or in the gym, I've, oh man, I wish I had your genetics. I was like, oh, you look at your back. Your back's huge. You got great genetics. I'm like, no,
Yeah. Well,
sorry,
that's an
that's
issue
not
too.
the
I get the
case in
question a
my for
lot.
me.
Yeah, like a lot of guys ask me, like, do I have the genetics for bodybuilding? I'm like, man, you're not going to find out until you put in a good 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Like, if you looked at me when I started, you would say this kid doesn't have a chance. I remember after my second bodybuilding show, a guy came up to me, the photographer for the show actually,
Right.
and told me I should switch to men's physique.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nothing wrong with that. People that are in men's physique, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
But
but
if that's not
you're
your
talking to a
goal,
guy that wants to be a bodybuilder,
exactly.
right?
If that's not your goal,
And
that's
that was
kind
like
of our
3 years in. That was 3 years in.
ouch.
So, right. But now look at
Right,
me. Now I have the genetics, right?
right. You have it. You found it somewhere. You got
Yeah, yeah. Along the 10 years of training and eating, I picked it up.
right.
Got him at Popeyes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. But that was for sure on sale. Yeah. Speaking of your third show, let's take a step back, and we always really love to hear about your very first show. If you don't mind, if you can remember that, what that was like. Did you kill it? Was it a
Oh,
disaster? What
I got
was
in shape.
your
It
feeling
was.
going into your first show as well? Like, were you nervous, scared? Were you just amped up?
I just couldn't wait to get it over with and eat.
Okay.
Because I
Yeah.
remember I hired a coach for my first show, and
Right.
this guy, he knew what he was doing, but he was like a macro based guy, which honestly was very good in the long run for me because I had to do macros with this guy, and he had this whole Excel, like Microsoft Excel program done up, like
Like
all the foods in
spreadsheets
it,
and stuff.
and you would put in the amount, and it would show you the macros. So he would kind of let you do your own thing, but he would give you like he kind of give you like a base plan, like this is probably what it should look like, but here's your options, right? So that taught me a ton about food because I then became obsessed with macros and trying to figure out my diet plans to fit my macro requirements, right?
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Um,
Yeah.
but the dude made sure I got in shape, so he killed me. So I was like suffering, and I was working a full time, well, like a part time job. I was in university and just trying to do the whole thing, right? And I remember like I was the kind of guy that once I said I was going to do something, I wasn't going to quit because I just didn't want to prove people right that thought I couldn't do
That's
it.
said.
Right? So, and back then I was just kind of known as like a party guy, like, so when I told people I was going to do a bodybuilding show, everybody was like, yeah, right. Right.
This like, you're just like tall. Like, what did you look like going into? You obviously
Yeah.
you
Well,
trained. How many years of training did you have previously before you did the show?
maybe like two or one or two, but I was getting into bodybuilding. Like I was really like kind of falling in love with it. And like my legs were responding really well. Like literally anytime I would squat or train legs,
Right.
like the next week, my legs would be bigger. Like it was just crazy.
That's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. So then like 20 weeks out from the show, like I started taking a bit of test and like, I took a little bit of trend at like 8 weeks out kind of thing. Like didn't really know what I was doing because my coach
Right.
didn't, I told him I was taking stuff, but he was like a natural coach.
Oh, so yeah, he
So
didn't really know the protocols.
yeah, like I told him what I was doing. He did a bit of research. He kind of tried to take it into consideration as best as he
Right.
could. But his plan was to just get me peeled. Like, we didn't do any water cuts or anything, just got as lean as possible and put me on stage. And I did pretty good. Like, I got second in juniors out of like 5 or 6 guys. I got third in heavyweights out of like 6 or 7 guys, just because I was lean and a lot of guys
Oh
weren't.
yeah.
Right? Um, and then I remember going into that show and just being like, man, I'm never doing this again. Like,
That was
but
horrible.
but then once I did it, I was like, I got to win. Like, I want to do this and I want to win.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so yeah, that's just what kept me going back for more.
Right. Like just getting close and just being on stage. And was that in your hometown?
Yeah, St. John's. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like our local Newfoundland provincial show.
Right. So if people are coming into their first competition, you say, uh, what are the big things to strive for in your very first show? Would it be just come in shape, come in lean, come in? It's
Yeah,
like you have no
definitely.
idea what to expect or what your body's going to do.
Just get in shape
So,
because chances are, if you're doing your first show, you probably don't have like a ton of muscle or like muscle maturity or anything
mhm,
like that. Maybe you do because there are guys now that understand. There's a lot more knowledge out there about bodybuilding. So now you'll probably get some younger guys that decide they want to compete when they're 18, but won't compete until they're 23, and
yeah,
they're ready to like win and then go get their pro card kind of thing, right?
right.
Because people are just becoming smarter now about how to approach bodybuilding.
So much more
But
information now.
yeah, for the most part, that's not going to be most people. So most people are going to do their first show, their local show, because they're going to want to hop on stage and just do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, my best advice I could give would be hire a good coach, someone that is known for getting people in shape, and hire them at 20 weeks out, 24 weeks out, and do a nice long prep, because you've never done this before. It's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be hungry. The longer you can stretch this prep out, the more comfortable you're going to be throughout it, because you can make smaller adjustments as you get closer to the show, give your body more time to adapt to those adjustments and burn the fat at a slower, longer rate. And you'll preserve, again, you probably don't have a lot of muscle, but the longer you can stretch out the prep, the less aggressive you have to be from a week-to-week basis, the more muscle you're going to be able to hold. So just do that and just focus on getting peeled, because more times than not at these regional level shows, conditioning is what wins. Because, you're probably only getting 25% of the people doing the show that are actually coming in shape.
Yeah.
Everyone else is kind of like lean, but they're not quite hitting the mark, right?
And that's 100% how I kind of went into it when I started. Just nailed the conditioning every time. I was not even far from the biggest person on stage, but I was taking them out left or right just because the conditioning was there.
Yes, exactly. Especially at that level, right? Because, when you get into the national level and the pro level, things get a little weird with judging, because it's like, there's so much muscle, right? But at that level, you could have a guy that's bigger than you, but if you're peeled and he's got love handles and soft glutes and your glutes are shredded, like, the judges love that shit at the regional level, and they respect it, right? And a lot of times you get rewarded for it. So that'd be my advice. Just get skinned out, man.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's gonna suck to do it, but it's definitely will be worth it, and to be proud of it too.
I will say this: like, that person's goal then is going to be to put on muscle after the show. So the leaner that you can get for the show, the more potential you're going to have to gain muscle after the show when you get your rebound and then reverse diet and then get into your off season. So that's just another benefit that you can think about that will motivate you to get through the prep, right?
So 100%. So I know there's a couple shows coming up in the next few months. There's a natural show, and then there's the Halifax is coming up too. So when you say rebound, people are done their show, they're coming into the rebound, which is like one of my most favorite parts of doing a show. It's just because you look ridiculous and you feel great. What does that mean to you when you rebound? What are you doing in that particular
Well,
time?
there's two different types of situations here. So if you have someone that's enhanced that used, steroids for that prep, that changes things drastically, because now I don't give a shit about a rebound. I don't give a shit about getting huge, because all that muscle you think that you're putting on after the show by stuffing your face and going to the gym and looking big is all just glycogen and water coming back.
Oh, for sure. It will disappear within a week or
Your
two.
body after a prep is destroyed, and especially if you've been using PEDs for 20 weeks, like, you absolutely need to focus on cleaning out your body. You need to lower your protein intake, and you need to just focus on letting your weight come up a little bit, but you should be focused on holding really good body composition for that 8 to 10 week health phase that you're going to do to set yourself up for your next off-season push. So after a show for me, I'm coming off of everything except for TRT. I'm probably not going to train for a week, just to let my joints and everything heal. I might get in the gym and like get a little pump, like just fuck around just to get the blood pumping, especially if I'm eating a lot, if I have a few cheat meals, that kind of thing. But I'll definitely try to give myself, like, once I get that out of the way, like, I'll have my post-show pumps and stuff. Then I'll take like 4 or 5 days, like, off in a row. Just to, like,
for
get
recovery,
get all that inflammation out, right? Because you were eating shitty, like, take 4 or 5 days, get back on your diet, let the body heal up a bit, and then, like, kind of like slowly get back into training. But then you're just training for maintenance, and again, to keep that good body composition. Because then when you get to your point where you can start your next cycle, you want to be lean, you want to be insulin sensitive, so that when the drugs kick in and you can start eating again, that you're going to use it to grow muscle, right?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to just start putting that stuff to you and nothing's going to happen, or it's just a waste.
But if you're a natural athlete, then I would again, maybe take, a little bit of downtime from the gym just to, like, let your body, like, chill out a bit if you feel like you need it. But then I would just get into a reverse diet. So, take your 2 days after the show, go out and eat, spend some time with your family and friends, like, get that shit out of the way. you're probably going to gain like 10 or 15 pounds. But
For
then
sure.
you got to cut yourself off after that 2 days. You got to get back on track with probably something that was really close to your contest diet, at least for that next week, just to bring everything back down, right? Get rid of all that water weight and stuff that you gained. And then you can start your reverse diet. And that's basically when you're just going to slowly reduce cardio and slowly add food back in, just to slowly let the body fill back up and start gaining lean tissue, but not gaining like a ton of body fat, right?
Right. That's amazing advice, for sure. Because I know quite a few natural competitors that are going to be competing soon that watch this, and they're going to be loving that. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
awesome. Yeah, man. So let's see. Got another question here about. I've seen a couple of. It says I've seen a couple of your arm training videos. Is that really all that you do to get those giant arms, or are you hiding something? That's like.
Man, I'm telling you, I think the number one thing that people go wrong with arms is just training them too much and with not enough intent. I also think guys, yeah, like I have an arm day a week because that's what keeps my arms big, right? But
Right.
when you think about it, if I'm training shoulders and chest, each have their own day. So I'm hitting
Yep.
2 to 3 presses in both of those workouts. So that's a lot of tricep involvement. Uh,
For sure.
Back once, sometimes twice a week. So that's a good bit of bicep stimulation there. And then arms have their own day where I'm doing 4 exercises for biceps, 4 for triceps, 2 hard working sets. I mean, my arms are going to need 2 or 3 days to recover from that alone, and then they're
Oh
still
yeah.
getting hit on the chest and on the other upper body days, right? So, how much are you going to stimulate your arms? Like you
Like
know what I mean? Like
right. So you'd be
when
like,
they're going
I think
to grow, right?
you can't like yeah. They're so easy to be overtrained, I guess, and then
Yeah, there's only 3 days a week that my arms aren't being trained: leg day and my 2 rest days.
right. That makes sense.
So I'm
Hundred
training them every
percent.
second day.
Right.
So
Uh,
guys underestimate what they're doing on the other upper body days. Like they think that they're training shoulders, that their arms aren't doing nothing.
right. That yeah.
Just
It's just like
like you're picking up the fucking weights with your arms, man.
you're just like you're yeah. It's like you're doing your like yeah shoulder press. What are your triceps
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, that's all I do. But on my arm day, I am like super focused. 2 very hard sets to failure on each exercise, maybe a couple drop sets. I'm very in tune with my muscle connection, man. Like I'm telling you, like when I'm doing a
I'm gonna
curl or I'm doing a tricep extension, like I
I'm
am
gonna throw up
feeling.
your picture here. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
So right, like yeah, that's crazy. So like you're feeling like those triceps and biceps, like that's insane.
Yeah, yeah, they've
So
come up a lot in years for sure.
right, like how far is this one? You were 4 weeks out on this picture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
Like,
last week.
oh man, that's absolutely like you're a monster.
Lots of lines there, yeah,
Like the biceps there, like that's they're bigger as your head. So
yeah. I know, yeah, yeah. They're pretty cool.
so seeing that, yeah. So you're just what's your rep ranges when you're looking at arm training?
10 to 15.
Cool. You're failing
Probably.
on the fifth. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'll do generally just like yeah, like I'll pick like a hard weight that I'm only going to get like maybe 10 to 15 reps on. If I get 15 on the first set, I might go up a little bit more weight and then get 10 or 12 on the second set, kind of thing. But
Right.
yeah, the arm was
That's
pretty big.
wild, man. Yeah, that's so crazy. People like I get DMs all the time. People that know you, they're like, "Did you see this last video?" They're like, "This is." I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen this video." I was like, "I've watched it
Yeah.
4 times already."
Yeah, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, dude, we're in a good spot, man. I just got to finish off this last couple weeks now, and
Cool.
we'll get the money to make an impact on the pro debut.
Hell yeah. We're coming up to that 40-minute mark. You said you got to go. But before we go, I just want to like, how are you feeling around this? Your debut. Are you nervous? Are you looking forward to it? There's going to be some other big guys there, and It's gonna be probably
Yeah.
just an adventure.
Yeah, man. It's definitely weird. I mean, bodybuilding is mentally difficult
Yeah.
because, especially at this point, because now it's a lot more than just doing like an amateur show. There's a lot more on the line in terms of your stock as a bodybuilder. What you're worth with. Like, there's a lot of opportunity here, right? I think that's probably
Right.
where the pressure comes from, because it's like, if I go out and win the Toronto Pro, my pro debut, like that's a life changing event.
It will
You know,
be. Yes.
Um, and if I go out and I suck, then that's a missed opportunity in my mind, right? So I think where it's my pro debut, technically I don't really have anything to lose, because I don't feel like there's like super high expectations from like the bodybuilding community for me or anything like that. I
Right.
think people I think people in Atlanta, Canada know what I'm bringing, because a lot of you guys have seen me in person, and you guys know that there's a big difference between me in person and me on Instagram.
Oh
Whereas
yeah, you're a
the
lot
rest
bigger.
Yeah, the rest of the bodybuilding people don't know that. They just
Right.
see
Yeah.
the pictures and they're like, yeah, this guy looks pretty good, right? But when you put me next to other people, that's where my structure really comes out, right?
Right.
So I'm excited for that, because I think that's going to blow a lot of people away that haven't seen me in person before.
They're not expecting it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm really excited for the weekend. I think it's just going to be an awesome time. I have a lot of people coming out to support me, which I'm like super thankful for, to have that support. So I think as long as I bring my best, man, like I will be happy, and like
Yeah.
that's all I'm focusing on, because that's all I can control, right? I want to do good, but if I can just walk out of there with like people's respect, I'll be more than satisfied, because
Oh,
I have a lot of time left competing as a pro. Like I feel generally healthy, and I want to keep doing this, and I know I can continue to improve and fill out this structure more and more and more,
right.
right?
Because
So
you're a
this is
tall,
just a
big
start.
guy. You can keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So this is just a start for me, So I'm gonna try to make an impact and hope for the best. But it's my pro debut, so at the same time, I feel like I have nothing to lose.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic, and yeah, you're gonna surprise a lot of people. So you even mentioned on Fuad's podcast multiple times, not just
Oh,
once in passing, but like multiple times. So that's
yeah,
pretty
I'm
cool.
sure now, because the New York Pro is this weekend coming, and then Toronto
Yeah.
will be next. So I think that once Toronto is like the next show on the schedule, people will be sharing a bit more pictures around and stuff like that about
Right.
who's doing. So I think after this weekend, things are probably going to get a bit more interesting with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
but we'll just see. Yeah, we'll just see. I'm just gonna basically try not to get injured from now,
It's just yeah.
or eat any pizzas that I'm not supposed to eat, and then I think we
Those
should be
sneaky
okay.
pizzas, man.
They
You gotta be
just
careful with those.
sneak their way right into the egg white sometimes.
Yeah. Fucking sneaky pizzas. What's your favorite kind of pizza?
Um, Man, you know what? That's a good question. I like Hawaiian pizza, believe it or not.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
Hawaiian, really do.
good. That's
And
two
I
points. That's
like
it. That's all we got.
pepperoni, bacon, mushroom, green pepper. That's a classic. Um, and then meat lovers is good.
Of
Hard,
course.
hard to go wrong with pizza.
Yeah, it is. Almost anything goes on that.
Yeah, it's
Good
gonna
old
be good.
pineapple though. Good for you.
Yeah, yeah. I can deal with the pineapple on the pizza for sure.
That's awesome. That's great. Don't want to keep you too long. I just got a couple more, like two more
Let's do
questions,
one
if
more.
that's.
Let's do one more, because I might go hypo if I don't go eat soon.
Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Crap. All right. Well, then let's go into your coaching. Are you taking on people?
Yeah, I would say the best thing to do is, if you're interested in working with me, just inquire with me.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say yes, I am taking people. I've taken on two people today, actually, so I
Okay.
can't say I'm not.
Right.
I mean, obviously, right now with the show coming up, I'm just trying to like kind of limit like how many I have. But yeah, just inquire if anyone's interested in coaching. Just inquire. If I can't get you started right away, I could get you started after the Toronto Pro in a couple weeks. So it's not a big
Cool.
deal.
And then how do people get a hold of you?
Well, Instagram might be the easiest way. I'm just morganmac.bodybuilding. My business page is morganmac.nutrition. If you want to check out my coaching and some transformations and stuff like that, it's kind of more of an informational page. Email morgan@morganmacnutrition.ca. But yeah, lots of ways to get a hold of me. I'm not that hard to find.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, fantastic, man. Yeah, should go eat before. Yeah.
I can feel the sweat coming on, bro.
Yeah, go eat. I really appreciate you hanging in there with us. And like
Yeah,
a couple weeks out, and you're still doing this and smiling and laughing, dude. You're great.
life's
Yeah,
good, man. I appreciate you
that's
having me on. It was
oh
nice
for
chatting with you.
sure. Definitely. And after this, and maybe a little bit later on down the road, we'll give you another chat, see how the show went and how your off season is gonna go.
Yeah, we'll have to do a follow-up for sure.
Yeah, I would love that. Well, hopefully
Yeah, we'll
Alex
do
will
it.
get back on here
Yeah, we'll get him
with
on.
us. Yeah.
All right,
Awesome,
brother.
man. Appreciate it, dude. Thanks a
Have a good
lot.
one.